I never imagined that one click, one tiny press of a panic button would bring down a woman who believed she ran our entire neighborhood. But that's exactly what happened. The day Karen Whitfield broke into my home using a fake master key, while my 12-year-old son stood inside and watched history unfold through tempered glass and a calm demeanor. What she didn't know, what she never imagined, was that every move she made was being recorded, and those recordings would become her reckoning. My name is Marcus Chen, single dad, software engineer, and recent arrival to Willowbrook Estates, a place with a name so peaceful it practically whispered promises, safety, serenity, a fresh start. 3 months ago, Leo and I traded our apartment life for trimmed hedges, paved driveways, and cul-de-sac dreams. What we got instead was a gated fishbowl under the surveillance of one power-drunk HOA president. Karen Whitfield, a woman with a clipboard grip tighter than her smile, and a tone that could chip paint from a beige wall. She introduced herself within hours of us unloading boxes, casting judgment like shade. And the moment she saw my son, walking home from the bus, backpack swinging, eyes wide with optimism, she decided we were a problem. It started with questions disguised as concern. Single fathers often struggle with child supervision, she offered, as if reading from a script written in smugness. I explained, politely, that Leo was mature for his age, and that I worked remotely, with a full suite of smart home systems keeping watch. She smiled, a sharp-toothed PR smile, then walked away with the stiff composure of someone who planned to return. And return she did. Next came the rules. Imaginary ones. No children under 16 left home alone. I asked to see the bylaw. She insisted it was under revision. Spoiler, it never existed. But the surveillance? That was real. Every weekday, like clockwork, her silver SUV would glide past, slow as suspicion. Sometimes she parked. Sometimes she watched. Every time, she made my son feel less like a kid and more like a target. Leo asked me once, "Dad, is she trying to kidnap me?" I laughed, but inside, something hard and unforgiving took root. We began collecting everything, timestamps, doorbell footage, patterns. Still, nothing could have prepared us for what she'd try next. October, a Tuesday. I was deep in a critical video call with overseas clients. Japan, early hours, high stakes. And that's when the alerts hit, rapid fire on my phone. Motion at the front door, failed entry attempt, failed again. Then, her voice, Karen, coming through the speaker like a storm. "Open this door immediately," she barked. I launched my camera feed. There she was, jamming a key, into my front door, claiming she was conducting a welfare check, claiming authority that simply didn't exist. Leo stood inside, calm, steady, and brilliant. He triggered what I hoped we'd never need to use. Emergency lockdown. Every door, every window, sealed. Cameras activated, recordings started. Then he called me. Just one sentence. "Dad, that Karen lady's trying to come in." He did everything right. I told her, through the speaker, to leave immediately, that she was trespassing. And that's when she made her biggest mistake. She called 911. She told dispatch there was an abandoned child inside, in danger, alone. I was stunned, heart in my throat. I called immediately, explained it all. But it was too late. Officers were already en route. I dropped the call, dropped everything, and raced home like my world was on fire. By the time I arrived, 2 police cruisers sat at the curb, blue lights spinning behind falling leaves. Karen stood on the porch, arms flailing, voice rising, telling anyone who'd listen that I was an unfit parent and that Leo had been left to fend for himself. Officer Martinez turned to me as I stepped onto the drive. "Sir, can we hear your side?" "Of course," I said, and pulled my actual key from my pocket as Karen's so-called master key hung limp and useless in her hand. Inside, Leo was exactly where I expected him to be. Kitchen table, notebook open, pencil tapping, math workbook in front of him. He even waved. The officers checked every box. Food, water, communication. He was fine, more than fine. Then I showed them the footage. Karen, caught in full color. Approaching, inserting a key, trying, failing, calling in lies. Her face, not concern, just rage. "Where did this key come from?" asked Officer Thompson. She stammered about a maintenance emergency. "Months ago." "You duplicated a homeowner's key without consent?" His voice was sharp now, measured. "It's HOA policy," she blurted, backpedaling, drowning. "Produce the policy," said Officer Martinez. She couldn't, because it didn't exist. That's when I handed them everything. Photos, messages, neighborhood testimonials, and a particularly damning clip from Mrs. Rodriguez across the street, who had filmed Karen idling in her SUV watching our home for over 20 minutes. The questions turned, this time, toward Karen. Her tone cracked, her confidence drained. Words like false report, unlawful entry, harassment began to pile up. She turned pale. The crowd around us? Phones raised, neighbors pausing to check the mail, but really capturing the HOA queen's fall from grace. When asked a final time for any bylaw justifying her actions, Karen mumbled something about having the document at home. That was it. "Ma'am," Officer Thompson said, "you are being cited for unlawful attempted entry and filing a false emergency report." Karen's mouth opened, closed. "You can't do this. I'm the president," she shrieked. Officer Martinez didn't flinch. "That title," he said, pen scratching the citation, "means nothing here." I pressed charges, and at the next HOA meeting, I wasn't alone. The room was packed, more faces than seats. I brought my attorney, a quiet shark named Jacob Morrison, who specializes, fittingly, in HOA litigation. He presented the evidence neatly, piece by piece. Karen sat at the head of the table, flanked by a board that suddenly had nothing to say in her defense. A vote of no confidence followed. Unanimous. Even her loyalists turned. She barked as she left, "You'll regret this. Without me, this neighborhood will fall apart." But it didn't. It got quieter. The spiral didn't stop. Karen was fined $5,000 for false reporting, charged with unlawful duplication of house keys. Her real estate license? Suspended. We sued, and won. $15,000 in damages. Restraining order in place. HOA ban for life. At her sentencing, she stood in court, a monument to self-destruction. Striped of power, smear of mascara under hollow eyes. The judge listed her offenses, one by one, each word striking like a gavel. When the bailiff read the terms of her probation, Karen finally broke down. The woman who tried to break into my home using fear, lies, and imaginary laws was just another cautionary tale now. And all of it started because a 12-year-old boy, with a level head and steady hands, pressed a single button. If you believe no one, not even an HOA president, has the right to a key to your home, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where power gets knocked off its pedestal. One petty rule at a time, because sometimes justice doesn't walk in with fanfare. Sometimes it just clicks, the panic button, and everything changes.